course. Everything going okay for you?
Organizing this. It's got to be a big event for you guys.
Huge, huge. We had the prime minister a few weeks ago at an event, and then there were a bunch of scheduling changes, and he couldn't make it. So we're glad we got it this time around. What's up?
Including today.
We nailed him down. Yeah, that's true. That's true. For some reason, the well-being of the state of Israel comes before.
As it should.
Yes.
The well-being of the prime minister.
We're good. We're live. All right. 3, 2, 1. So happy to be joined here by Senator Bernie Moreno. We really appreciate you taking the time here to join us. The U.S.-Israel relationship always seems to be at the forefront of the headlines. What do you make of the meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu earlier this week?
You know, it's important. They obviously have a strong personal relationship. And as you know, that matters a lot, right? Because these ultimately are human decisions. And they need to understand each other's point of view. And I think as they developed that relationship during the first administration. It's taken it to a whole new heights in the second administration. And look, these are tough problems because we had 4 years where Joe Biden did some terrible things when it comes to what happened in that whole region. And President Trump's playing a lot of cleanup in what happened.
We're seeing somewhat of a shift in the Republican Party. In some wings more dramatic than others. But the tendency, and Prime Minister Netanyahu acknowledged this, is Israel needs to be more reliant on itself, especially for weaponry, less dependent on American aid, less dependent on American financing. Where do you fall in that spectrum, and do you feel that that should be kind of a change in the U.S.-Israel relationship?
Well, I'd bifurcate the question two ways. So I would absolutely agree that Israel should much more determine its own destiny. I think the mistake in U.S. foreign policy has been micromanaging Israel's moves. I think what you saw since October 7th is Israel just saying, look, we have to do what we have to do to defend our homeland. And as a result, made some amazing progress on the war. So if you look at the kinetic war, Israel's winning in a big way. It's a propaganda war that Israel's losing. But you got Hezbollah basically destroyed, Hamas on its knees, Iran back on its knees as well. You got the Syria situation changed around. All that was because Israel said, we have to do what's important and what's in our best interest. So I would 100% echo that sentiment. In terms of the U.S.-Israel relationship, look, we're going through some times here in the U.S. because of inflation. We're young, especially males, don't feel like the American dream is accessible to them. So like in any other time in history, when that happens, when you have this disgruntled group that doesn't feel like they can be part of a prosperous community, then they're going to see the siren call to different things, whether it's socialism, communism, you know, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ilhan Omar, or it's some of the right-wing extremism. We will get through this. The U.S. will come through this. The U.S.-Israel relationship is important. The vast majority of Christians, when I say vast majority, over 90%, understand that without the state of Israel, Christianity would cease to exist in the Middle East. So we understand, as a Catholic, as somebody who understands that area, we understand how important Israel is to maintaining Christianity. We also, as an American, understand how important it is that Israel is fighting the war that we would otherwise fight.
One last question for you. I'm always curious because we tend to live in our social media bubbles, and what's important to us tends to pop up on our feeds, but it's not always reflective of the real world. How much of an issue is the U.S.-Israel relationship, is anti-Semitism in your particular neck of the woods?
Well, look, anti-Semitism is a problem. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's at a heights that I've seen. I'm 58 years old. I grew up here in South Florida, went to school with a lot of Jewish students. I went to the University of Michigan, where there was a lot of Jewish students. I've never seen anti-Semitism at this level. So that's pretty damning, given that's half a century, right? We're old, right? So we have to fight it. We have to combat it. What we have to do is we have to win the propaganda war. We have young kids that now become young adults that have now become adults that have been raised with propaganda that's just wrong, like factually inaccurate, denying history, denying the existence of the fact that, why is it called Judea, right? Right? It's not the West Bank, it's Judea and Samaria. We need to be more upfront and aggressive on pushing back against those false narratives. A lot of that does live on social media. So we have to make certain that we're out there pushing that back and understanding that while of course, we respect free speech. That's unequivocal here in America. Hate speech is not to be tolerated. and we have to push back on misinformation. And we have to do it in a way that comes from a point of compassion, which is hard to do. Hard to do. And it's easier for me to say that as a non-Jew because I'm not targeted. But the compassion is important because you understand why are people feeling this way. And it's these disaffected, predominantly white males that are feeling like the American dream is just not for them. So why are we giving any country aid up to and including Israel? So we have to explain to them it's not aid. This is R&D investment. They take our dollars, they take our technology, they improve it. We have a lot of tech transfer that happens. They're fighting a war that otherwise, again, we would have to fight. They are the strongest democracy in a very important part of the region. So just explain to them why this is important and why the Free Palestine movement is nothing but a veiled attempt to actually wipe out an entire race. Because let's be honest, if Israel laid down its arms, there would be genocide. If Hamas laid down its arms, there'd be peace. Explaining that difference and having that breakthrough to people from the point of compassion, I think, is really important.
It is a tenet in Judaism that every child learns in their own particular way. You've got to teach them in that way. Senator Bernie Moreno, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. Thank you for putting on this event. Good job.
Thank you.
No, of course.
Let's
of course,
grab that mic.
Yes.
We never want a senator on that mic.
Is that
Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you.
Yeah? That okay?
That's perfect.